Glory to Jesus Christ. So it is no secret that we live in a world that has been just overrun by sexual immorality. The devil is really gaining a foothold in that regard. We're living in a world where cheating is encouraged, where men are encouraged to go and sleep with as many women as they possibly can. We're living in a world where pornography is just available at your fingertips for free. You don't even got to pay for it. We're living in a world where a lot of the porn industry drives human trafficking. And when people watch pornography that was produced in any way related to human trafficking, whether you pay for it or not, it's driving the industry that's pushing the human trafficking. It's ridiculous. We're living in a world where it's super easy for someone to go and make an OnlyFans account and just start selling images and videos of their body online with sexual partners that they may or may not even know. It's basically pornography. And there's this false claim going around right now that it is empowering. And it's not just women that are involved in this. I know men are involved in this too, but there's a lot of women that claim that this is some kind of empowerment. They try to loop it in with feminism somehow, trying to say that it empowers women. It doesn't empower women. If you watch interviews with a lot of women who have been involved in this, you can tell that there's severe emotional damage going on. Whether they admit it or not, you could just tell. Just look in their eyes, you could see severe emotional damage, emotional trauma from everything that's been going on with this. It's definitely not of God, and it leads everybody involved to sin. It is a plague. The entire concept of the whole thing is just degeneracy. It really is. And the Bible discusses this kind of behavior constantly, but there's one in particular. It's 1 Thessalonians 4:3-8. So, a letter from the first letter of St. Paul to the Thessalonians. Holiness and sexual conduct. This is the will of God, your holiness, that you refrain from immorality, that each of you know how to acquire a wife for himself in holiness and honor, not in lustful passion, as do the Gentiles who do not know God, not to take advantage of or exploit a brother in this matter. For the Lord is an avenger in all these things, as we told you before and solemnly affirmed. For God did not call us to impurity, but to holiness. Therefore, whoever disregards this disregards not a human being, but God, who also gives his Holy Spirit to you. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So that entire passage right there talks about this. And it says, do not take advantage of or exploit a brother in this matter. What do you think is happening when you're producing this content and you're putting it out there for the sole purpose of people getting sexual gratification and lustful desires out of it? You're exploiting them. You're exploiting yourself. People are exploiting you. Now, Michael Knowles did a interview on, I think it was the Whatever podcast, and there was an OnlyFans, I think she was an OnlyFans model on there, and she was wearing a cross around her neck, and she claimed to be a Christian. She claimed to believe in the Christian God, but she was making sexual content on OnlyFans. And she claimed that she was not making pornography. She claimed that she was just being naked on her page. Still, if you're being naked on your page with the intent of causing lustful desires, arousing people, causing sexual gratification, then it falls under this. It falls under that causing the lustful passion. And Michael Knowles kind of called her out on this. He did it charitably, he did it with love, but he called out how she claims to be a Christian and she wears the cross. And if I remember right, I might be wrong on this part, but if I remember right, she said that she even wears the cross while she makes the content. And he kind of called her out on this, and she claimed that God comes first and that God has blessed her with her career in this. And she was implying that she doesn't think it's sinful. And someone else who was on that interview called her out by saying that on her social media, she puts God first at the top of the page, and then right below that, a link that ultimately directs people to her sexual content. So right below where she's claiming to be a Christian and putting God first, she has a link to her sexual content. That is directly contradictory. It is. It's directly contradictory. And as they discussed this with her at length, you could see that she wasn't really sure about this. She tried to stick to what she was saying in this regard, but you could tell that she wasn't really sure inside. You could tell just by the way she was talking. And then she asked if she should still wear the cross necklace or whatever while she was making the content. And Michael Knowles told her that she should keep the cross and get rid of the OnlyFans, which I agree with that. But the thing is, she claimed that her career in this was a blessing from God. But the entire purpose of the career is to basically lead people into sin. So that's not from God. Now, the devil comes disguised as an angel of light, and the devil can give us things that we think are blessings. But the devil loves when he gets a situation like this, because he gets this content creator who is creating all of this stuff. First off, she's sinning in doing it. Anyone that she's doing it with is sinning. And then anyone who comes to watch it is basically sinning. So everyone involved in this is sinning. And then the person who's producing the content is so brainwashed that she doesn't even realize that she's sinning. And there's a point where you've got to see God in the darkness. You have got to realize that you are so lost in your sin, you are so lost in the world, but God can pull you out of it. And if you already claim that you have faith in God, if you already claim that you have faith in Jesus, if you already claim that you put God first, then you've already got kind of a running start on that. And Jesus said as much with the woman at the well, where he called her out for all of her issues, all of the things with the marriages, all the things with the guy she wasn't even married to, but he pulled her out of it. And he said, go and sin no more. And he called her to the love of God. And that's what this needs to be. People need to be called to the love of God and out of this behavior, which ultimately leads to degeneracy for everyone involved in it. And it's a type of adultery, because the Bible implies that if you're looking upon a woman like that with lust, or if you're a woman looking upon a man like that with lust or whatever, and it's not ordered in marriage and it's not under control, then it's a sin. The whole point of this industry is to lead people to sin. And they make a ton of money out of it. They do. And it's really sad to see the damage that it causes to everyone that's involved in it. the amount of people that have hurt themselves from being involved in this kind of thing, the amount of human trafficking that's come out of this kind of behavior. And I know where people are going to go with this. People are going to say, okay, well, priests were involved in sexual immorality in the Catholic Church and abuse. Yes, there were some priests. There were a lot of priests who were involved in that. There are still priests who are involved in that. You also see it with Protestant pastors, some of them. That behavior is not what the church teaches. That behavior is strictly contrary to Scripture and to the values of the church. And it was and is the devil attacking the Church of Christ. That's what it is. And nobody... How can I put this? As Catholics, when we see that a priest has been involved in this behavior, we are absolutely disgusted by it, because that is not our faith. That is not our Christian faith. But you don't leave Jesus because of Judas. And yes, we have some Judases in the church. We have a lot of Judases in the church. But you don't leave the church that Jesus established because of Judas. So I just wanted to get that out of the way right now. True Catholics do not support that at all. True Catholics will call it out. True Catholics will call it out. But the point is, we're living in a world that has just been overrun by this kind of thing. And the devil loves it. The devil absolutely loves it. Especially when the person who's creating the content doesn't even know that they are basically serving the devil in that regard. And people really need to start calling this out. People need to stop supporting this behavior. If you have a friend, if you have a family member that's involved in this type of behavior, then you should see if there's a way to lovingly and charitably try to get them out of it. Because it causes so much damage to everybody. It does. And it's not of God at all. Now, God can use it. He can. He can use sinners. He can. He can take sin and he can turn it into something great. But sinners can become great saints. The saints didn't start well, but they ended well. But you've got to get out of that sin. And you've got to stop leading other people to sin. Because think about it. One video, let's say 1,000 viewers. Let's just throw a number out there. All right, so one video, the content creator is sinning. Anyone who's in the video with them is sinning. And then all of the people that are watching it are sinning. So that is over 1,000 people sinning just off of one video. And that's not counting anything else that might be involved in this. And that's not counting the emotional damage that being involved in this kind of activity for an extended period of time, and honestly, it really doesn't even take an extended period of time, but it's worse over an extended period of time. That's not even counting the emotional damage and trauma and toll that it's going to take on the people that are involved in this. And then look at how the porn industry, look at how porn addiction has destroyed marriages. It's led to cheating. It's led to adultery. I'm not even counting the times that it may have led to some kind of physical violence. It needs to stop. People need to start calling this out for what it is. And Catholics need to stop being silent on this.